You're distracted because you're trying to fight your mind. And your mind will always win that fight. Because the harder you try to force focus, the more your brain resists. The Japanese figured this out centuries ago. They don't fight distraction. They train the mind to eliminate the conditions that create distraction in the first place. And once you understand their system, everything changes. Here's what you need to know. Distraction isn't about your phone or social media or notifications. Those are symptoms. The real problem is deeper. Your mind is untrained, and an untrained mind will find a way to distract itself even in a silent room with no devices. I've watched it happen. You sit down to focus, and within 2 minutes your brain is thinking about something you said 3 years ago. That's not a discipline problem. That's a training problem. The Japanese have been training minds for over 700 years. Zen monks, samurai, tea ceremony masters. They built a system that doesn't rely on motivation or willpower. It relies on conditioning. And conditioning beats willpower every single time. Because willpower is a limited resource. Conditioning is automatic. Let me show you how it works. The first principle is called zazen. It means seated meditation, but it's not what you think. Most people hear meditation and imagine trying to clear their mind. Stop all thoughts, reach enlightenment. That's not zazen. Zazen is about watching your mind without controlling it. You sit, you breathe, and you notice every thought that appears. You don't fight it, you don't judge it, you just observe it. And here's what happens. Over time, you realize you are not your thoughts. You're the one watching the thoughts. And once you realize that, distraction loses its power. Let me explain the mechanism. When you're distracted, you're identified with the distraction. You think you are the thought. So when your mind says, check your phone, you believe that's you wanting to check your phone. It's not. It's just a thought, a mental habit. And thoughts have no power unless you act on them. Zazen teaches you to see thoughts as passing clouds. They appear. You notice them. They disappear. You don't grab them. You don't fight them. You just watch. And the more you practice this, the less control thoughts have over your actions. I started practicing Zazen 3 years ago. First week, I couldn't sit for 5 minutes without my mind going insane. Every itch, every noise, every random thought pulled me out of focus. I thought I was terrible at it. But my teacher told me something that changed everything. He said the point isn't to stop thoughts. The point is to notice you got distracted and come back. That's the training, not perfection. Return. So the first kept going. 5 minutes a day, then 10, then 20. And something shifted. I started noticing my distraction patterns in real life. I'd be working, my brain would suggest checking email, and instead of automatically doing it, I'd notice the thought. Oh, that's just my mind trying to escape discomfort and the first return to the task. Not through force, through awareness. That's the power of Zazen. It gives you a gap between impulse and action, and in that gap, you choose. The second principle is called Ichijo Zamai. It means full concentration on one thing, not multitasking, not background music while you work. One thing, complete absorption. The Japanese believe that mastery comes from depth, not breadth. And depth requires undivided attention. When a tea master makes tea, that's all they do. Not making tea while thinking about dinner, just tea. When a swordsman trains, that's all they do. Not training while planning tomorrow, just the sword. Here's what happens when you practice Ichijo Zamai. Your brain learns to enter deep focus on command, because you've trained it to associate one activity with complete attention. Most people never experience this. They're always half-focused, working while checking their phone, reading while watching TV, talking while scrolling. And their brain learns that partial attention is the default. So when they try to focus, their brain resists, because it's not trained for depth. I tested this with my morning routine. I used to make coffee while checking emails, eating breakfast while watching YouTube, getting ready while planning my day. Constant mental noise. Then the first tried something different. I made coffee and did nothing else. I sat with my coffee and only drank coffee. No phone, no thoughts about work, just coffee. It felt strange at first, almost uncomfortable, but after 2 weeks something shifted. My mind started settling faster. I'd sit down to work and my brain would drop into focus within seconds, because the first had trained it to do one thing at a time. The third principle is ma. It means the space between things. In Japanese aesthetics, the empty space is just as important as the object. In music, the silence between notes creates rhythm. In conversation, the pause creates meaning. And in focus, the rest between work creates sustainability. Most people don't understand this. They think productivity means constant action. No breaks, no space. Just grind until you collapse. That's not sustainable. That's burnout. The Japanese build ma into everything. After intense focus, they rest, not because they're weak, because rest is part of the system. A samurai trains hard, then sits in silence. A monk meditates intensely, then walks slowly through the garden. They understand that the mind needs space to integrate, to reset, to prepare for the next period of focus. Without ma, focus becomes torture. With ma, focus becomes natural. I started adding ma to my workday. 90 minutes of deep focus, then 15 minutes of complete rest. Not checking email or scrolling. Actual rest. Sitting, walking, staring at nothing. My productivity doubled. Not because I was working more, because the first was recovering better. My mind stayed sharp instead of slowly degrading throughout the day. That's ma. The space between makes the focus possible. The fourth principle is kanzo. It means simplicity. Remove everything unnecessary until only the essential remains. Your environment shapes your mind. A cluttered space creates a cluttered mind. A simple space creates a simple mind. A simple space creates a simple mind. And a simple mind is a focused mind. The Japanese are masters of this. Zen gardens, minimalist rooms, clean lines, no excess. Everything in a Japanese space has a purpose, and everything without purpose is removed. Look at your workspace right now. How many things are in your field of vision? How many tabs are open on your computer? How many apps are sending you notifications? Each one is a micro-distraction. Your brain sees it, processes it, decides whether to engage. That's cognitive load, and cognitive load kills focus. The solution isn't willpower, it's kanzo. Remove the distractions before you start working. I cleared my desk completely. One notebook, one pen, one monitor, nothing else. I closed every tab except the one I'm working on. I turned off all notifications. My phone goes in another room, and here's what happened. My mind stopped searching for distractions because there was nothing to find. Focus became the path of least resistance. That's the power of kanzo. You're not fighting distraction. You're removing the conditions that create it. The fifth principle is shoshin. It means beginner's mind. Approach everything with fresh curiosity, not boredom or assumption. The reason you get distracted is because your mind is bored. You think you already know what's going to happen. So your brain checks out and looks for something more interesting. But if you approach the task with beginner's mind, suddenly everything becomes interesting again. Because you're not assuming. You're discovering. I do this with my writing. Instead of thinking I already know what I'm going to say, I sit down with curiosity. What's going to come out today? What will I discover as I write? And suddenly writing isn't boring. It's an exploration. My mind stays engaged because it's genuinely curious. That's shoshin. When you bring curiosity, distraction disappears because your mind is already interested. Here's what these 5 principles create together. A mind that doesn't need to fight for focus, because focus is the default. Zazen trains you to observe thoughts without acting on them. Ichigo Zamai trains depth over breadth. Ma trains sustainable intensity. Kanzo removes external distractions. Shoshin removes internal boredom. Combine them, and you have a system that eliminates distraction at the root. This isn't something you do once. It's a daily practice. Start with 5 minutes of zazen every morning. Add ichijo zamai to one task per day. Build ma into your schedule. Simplify your environment with kanzo. Approach your work with shoshin. And watch what happens over 3 months. Your mind will transform. Not because you forced it, because you trained it. Here's my challenge for you. Pick one of these 5 principles, just one, and practice it for 30 days. If you choose zazen, sit for 5 minutes every morning. If you choose ichijo zamai, do one task per day with complete attention. If you choose ma, build 15-minute rest periods into your day. If you choose kanso, clear your workspace completely. If you choose shoshin, approach one activity with beginner's curiosity. 30 days, one principle. Then tell me in the comments what changed. Subscribe if you want more systems that actually work, instead of productivity hacks that fade in a week. This is how the Japanese trained the most focused minds on earth, and is how you eliminate distraction completely.